I'm Athene Eisenhart. I'm a licensed acupuncturist. I'm on the faculty at Acupuncture and Integrative Medicine College in Berkeley, and I have a private practice, Window of the Sky Acupuncture in Oakland. We're here today to go on an urban herb walk, looking at traditional medicine plants that people have been growing in their yards without even realizing it. Because of our amazing growing climate here in the California Bay Area, we can grow just about whatever we want. And it turns out that a lot of what we're growing is traditional Chinese medicinal herbs that have been used for thousands of years for healing. So there's a saying amongst herbalists that the plants grow where the people need them. And often our best medicines are those that are growing right outside our front door. People and plants are intimately connected, and so it's no coincidence that the person, let's say, suffering from insomnia, decides to plant passion flower, a wonderful remedy for sleep, or that the person with the congested liver ends up with tons of dandelion, which promotes the flow of bile, growing in their lawn. So the plants are always conspiring for our healing, whether we realize it or not. And for just that same reason, perhaps these Chinese medicinal herbs have ended up growing in our yards. So before we begin, a brief safety reminder: please do not harvest or consume any of the plants in this video unless you're under the guidance of a trained professional. And the statements in this video are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any illness. So our first medicinal herb is Buddha hand, Citrus sarcodactylus, and this plant is called faux shou in pinyin or Chinese. And we use this plant to move the qi. We use the fruit, which grows like a beautiful hand and has an incredible aroma. And the power of that aroma causes us to inhale deeply and open the diaphragm. Often when people's qi is stagnant, the diaphragm gets stuck. And we know that under stress, people no longer breathe with their diaphragm and instead use the accessory muscles of breathing like the trapezius and scalenes. And so faux shou opens up the breathing and the diaphragm and helps take us out of stress and smooths the qi. As it turns out, a lot of our citrus plants help to regulate the qi in different ways. So we can also use citrus peels or bitter orange for just this same purpose. Our next medicinal plant is honeysuckle, Lonicera japonica, Jinyin-hua in Chinese. And this plant is cool and sweet in nature. We use the flowers medicinally. And they also make a wonderful food to put in yogurts or other sauces. The cool, sweet flavor of Jinyin-hua helps to clear what we call heat toxins from the body, making it very useful in the treatment of febrile disease. And it's been shown in China to be helpful in the treatment of coronavirus. Of course, we can't make any claims about that here in the US, but it's useful to know. So our next medicinal plant is magnolia tree. This particular tree is Magnolia grandiflora. We use two different species of magnolias in Chinese medicine for healing purposes, and we use both the buds and the bark in Chinese medicine. The buds have a wonderful astringent quality that we use to decongest the nose, and they very instantly dry up that kind of watery, runny, hay fever nose that so many of us are plagued by during allergy season. So we make a decoction of the buds in order to use them, and as you can see, the buds are covered with this fine hair, and so when we decoct Jinyin-hua, we do it inside a mesh bag. The Magnolia family and the genus Magnolia were some of the first flowering plants on our planet, And so if these buds were to open, you would see in the center a cone-like structure that looks like a pine cone. And that's no coincidence. And so this is what that looks like. So we use the bark of the magnolia tree, ho po, to treat tightness and constraint in the chest. When a person's chi is stuck and the chest is tight, the acrid and aromatic nature of the bark will get in there and loosen it up for us. In the southern United States, a species of magnolia tree is also used for a somewhat similar purpose. We use it to treat chest tightness and coughing. So this is probably the most incredible rose bush I've ever seen. We use rose medicinally in Western herbalism and in traditional Chinese medicine. And rose is also in our smooth and regulate qi category. So we're kind of getting a pattern here, right? A lot of people in our modern Western world needing to de-stress, calm down, and smooth out their qi. So for that reason, we can think of rose as a spiritual harmonizer. And we can use it in this way when we formulate as an envoy to the spirit. In traditional Chinese medicine formulation, we use a chief herb, that's the main intention of the formula, minister and assistant herbs to further carry out that chief herb's intention, and then an envoy herb to guide and direct the formula. And so rose is a beautiful envoy to the spirit that promotes peace and harmony. Here's another beautiful medicinal tree that people grow in their yards. This is the mulberry tree, Morus alba. And mulberry is a beautiful example of how in Chinese medicine we use different parts of the plant for different medicinal purposes. So we use sung ya, the leaves of the mulberry tree, sung bai pi, the bark of the mulberry tree, sung zhi, the twigs of the mulberry tree, and sang shen, the fruit of the mulberry tree. And they all have different uses based on the character or energy of the plant that they represent. So the leaves of mulberry, being light in nature, treat illness that's on the surface of the body, and they're particularly wonderful for early stage cough. The bark of the mulberry tree, being heavier in nature, also treats cough, but its heavy nature takes it more into the interior of the body, where it treats longer standing, more deep-seated coughs. So we also use the twigs of the mulberry tree medicinally, and we can see how the twigs possess this quality of movement to them, which helps them travel through the channels of the body and clear out what we call dampness. And dampness often contributes to heaviness and stiffness and pain. And in the case of sang zhi, our mulberry twig, it has a special affinity for treating stiffness in the shoulders. Our final part of the mulberry tree that gets used medicinally is sang shen, the mulberry fruit, and the dark color of these berries helps to build and tonify the blood. Our next medicinal is the privet, Ligustrum lucidum, nuzenza in Chinese, and this plant has beautiful dark blue-black berries that help to tonify the kidney and liver yin. And so the dark blue-black color gives the berries an affinity for the kidneys. The color of the kidney is dark blue or black in Chinese medicine. And the kidneys are the parent of the liver. And so there's an interrelationship. When the kidneys are well nourished, the liver is also well nourished. And the liver opens into the eyes and governs the eyesight. So these fleshy, dark berries help to nourish the eyes, especially when a person is experiencing visual burnout due to aging. This is a familiar friend to most of us in the California Bay Area. This is the loquat tree, Areobatria japonica. And we use the leaves medicinally in Chinese medicine to treat coughing, particularly coughing due to heat. We also use the fruits, which have a beautiful, sweet, and moistening quality to soothe and stop coughing. So our final medicinal tree is the persimmon tree, Shirdi. So we use the calyx of the persimmon tree to treat hiccuping and acid reflux. The calyx refers to the sepals of the flower, and so these green, leathery, leaf-like looking things are the calyx of the persimmon tree. In Chinese medicine, we understand hiccuping and acid reflux as the qi of the stomach flowing in the wrong direction. So the qi of the stomach should descend down, carrying food down through the rest of the digestive tract. When that doesn't happen properly, then the qi instead rebels upwards and can cause hiccup, belching, acid reflux, and so on. So the astringent nature of these persimmon sepals helps to actually stabilize and bind the stomach qi and prevent it from rebelling up in the wrong direction. All right, so we found all of those plants within just a block of Acupuncture and Integrative Medicine College in Berkeley, and I invite you to get out there and find those plants for yourself and make their acquaintance. So thank you so much for coming, and please remember not to harvest or consume any of the plants in this video without the guidance of a trained professional. And of course, the statements in this video are not intended to treat, diagnose, or cure any illness.